The issue today is the Islamic population in the United States at the 21st century, and of course we're dealing primarily with Nashville at this particular time, pointing out the diversity of this population with Dr. AAl-Hadid from Tennessee State University and Mr. RFakhruddin3 from the Islamic Center here in Nashville. Of course, during this last segment, let us have the two of you address this issue that I think is very, very important, and that is some of the misconceptions in terms of some of the myths, rather, and the misconceptions in terms of this religion. Let's have a free go in reference to that. Let's start with you, Dr. Hadid.
Yeah, well, Dr. Haynes, we certainly would like to congratulate you in having us on. And it could not have come at a better time, because at this very hour, this very time, there's a program on public television called America at the Crossroads. And they're presenting their version of Islam, so you're giving us an opportunity to present an Islamic perspective on that. And well, I think the audience needs to understand that Islam is one of the Abrahamic religions. We believe in monotheism. We accept Jesus Christ not as the Son of God, as Christians do, but as a prophet. We are obligated to study the Old Testament that Moses brought. We are obligated to study the New Testament, and we cannot be a complete Muslim. Our holy book is the Holy Quran, and in the Holy Quran you will find teachings on Moses and Jesus and so forth. Now, there are some myths out there that we probably want to comment on, and we share that catalog of myths. There are many. First of all, there are two worlds here. One is the perception of Muslims before 9/11, and then the perception of Muslims after 9/11.
Okay.
So on this side of 9/11, I think that's where these stereotypes and myths have been intensified. First of all, I think we should know that Islam is not an Arab religion. Our language is Arabic because our prophet was an Arab, peace and blessing be upon him, and it was revealed in that language. But Arabs are in the minority in this religion. They're a very small group, and primarily in North Africa and the Arabian Peninsula. The largest population of Muslims are actually in Indonesia. There are maybe 200 million Muslims, you know, in Indonesia. And in terms of the way things are going now, when we look at the news today, you see what's going on in Baghdad, you see what's going on in Afghanistan, and that is not the true face of Islam. These are people that are dealing with a land that is occupied, and like any other people, they are dealing with occupation the same way that America dealt with the 13 colonies in 1776, you know. And I think people need to understand it, you know, in that context. Another stereotype about Muslims is that we oppress women because the way of Muslim women dress, some wear the veil, some wear the hijab, the headscarf. And it's not the oppression of women, it's an act of modesty. That's a part of our culture. And a lot of time, Western feminists and the Western media try to encourage Muslim women to not dress in this modest way. But our culture is different from the Western culture, and those Muslim women who strongly believe in Islam, they wear this hijab and they wear this particular type of dress.
As a matter of course.
As a part of the culture. And if you go back to the early years in the United States, women wore long dresses, you know, like the pilgrims and so forth. And so in the Muslim world, you have the same thing going on. So I want to ask Brother Rashid to give his catalog of myths. And
that was great.
Yeah.
There are just so many out there. I mean, we wouldn't have enough time to cover it in just one session, but when we look to war and aggression and intolerance and terrorism, that's something that strikes us as something that's totally like poles apart from what Islam stands for. A lot of times we hear anytime one person who's committing an act of aggression, they associate the religious term of Islam or Muslim to that person. Whereas if it's someone from another faith, they usually don't identify that person with religion, like the person in the Virginia Tech shooting. And in all cases, this is one thing we like to clarify. Islam totally stands against terrorism in all means, and it's totally forbidden. In fact, there's a verse from the Holy Quran in the 5th chapter and the 32nd verse, to the effect, I'll paraphrase it because there's the Arabic term, but the English paraphrased is, the killing of one soul is like the killing of all of humanity, and the saving of one life is like the saving of all of humanity. In fact, the Prophet Muhammad, when we just go back to our roots, at the time of Prophet Muhammad, the teachings in the Quran, the way he dealt, they avoided fighting for 13 years in Mecca. They were being persecuted, killed, tortured, and it was only in the last 10 years where they were able to fight back, defend themselves. And during those times, there was a strict code of conduct during war, combatant versus uncombatant, that Prophet Muhammad forbade killing children, elderly, the innocent, and even burning down trees and crops and buildings. These are all forbidden because Islam is a religion of peace, and God says in the Quran that, I'll recite the Arabic, La ikraha fi din, let there be no compulsion in religion. And there's another verse that's in the 2nd chapter, in the 8th chapter. He says, وَإِن جَنَهُ لِلسِّلْمِ فَجْنَحْ لَهَا وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. If they incline towards peace, then you incline towards peace and place your trust in God. So in terms of terrorism, Islam forbids even harming an innocent soul. Weapons of mass destruction go way, I mean, that's like killing someone.
Well, it seems that the religion